I mean, after all, what we've seen this morning has been mostly focused on the Spanish-speaking world. It's because we do have at least two areas of emphasis, Spanish and Japanese, and we also teach Italian and American Sign Language. We used to teach Chinese, and we will do that in the future. Our next presenter, by the way, before I present the presenter, I'd like to acknowledge also the presence of two of our new professors who will represent you, Kaiko Scherer and Professor Tonabbit, who are both from the Japanese program, and who have given some support to our next presenter. Our next presenter is Larry Corpuz. Larry Corpuz is going to take us to the world of Japan, and the title of his presentation is Japan's Mythical Creatures, Interpretation of Effects upon Contemporary Japanese Society.
Good afternoon, or good morning. My name is Larry Corpuz, and my presentation, it's on Japanese mythological creatures and their effects on contemporary Japanese society. Okay. Now, this is the outline for my presentation. I'm going to start importance of the study. The second portion would be the focus of the research questions. After that, I'm going to go into the review of literature and basically what their interpretation of those creatures and their perspectives of it are from the books that I used. And then after that, I'm going to go through the actual research questions itself. The other thing I did also was sort of like a survey to some Japanese students, and asking them certain questions about these Japanese creatures and what their views on it were also. Then I'm going to take both those research and make a conclusion out of it. Now, I'm not going to go through all the Japanese creatures because there's just way too many of them. So I focus on three of them that are probably better well known in the States. But the first one's a kitsune down here at the bottom, tanuki, and kappa finally. So these are little caricatures of what they actually are. I'll explain more about them as we go along. So this is the importance of study, and what I went over was basically the where did these creatures come from? How did they come to exist? And also the origins of these creatures, and what's their purpose of having them in Japanese society? So why are they there, and do they teach anything? Do they have any benefit to the society itself? And finally, how do these creatures, how do they interpret them nowadays in Japan? So in contemporary society, do they have any sort of meaning still, or are they just sort of like these mythical creatures that people find interesting? So now these are actually the research focus questions I have for the research I did. So the first question is the kitsune, the tanuki, and the kappa. Where do they come from? What are their origins? The second one is so how did they come to be, or kind of what kind of in stories? Where do they represent? What do they teach us, basically? The third one is how do they affect our everyday lives, and basically how do they perceive them? Sorry, how does Japanese society perceive them, and finally, how do they affect our everyday lives, or Japanese people's lives anyway? So, next is the literature research. From the research I did, from the three creatures I researched, the kitsune, the first one, the research described them as sort of like a fox spirit. They usually look like beautiful women, but they're usually like little foxes too. But they have the power to change shape. They're usually really mean towards people, which it's not always true though, because like some of the other research I had was they were either good or bad, but for the most part they were usually like not really nice, and they play some really mean tricks on people. And then also they used there are proverbs and idioms that had that used the word kitsune in it. Like for example, kitsune ni tsumawareru. So I got pinched by a kitsune means they played a trick on you or something similar to that. Now the tanuki is the next one. That one has similar powers of a kitsune. So he looks more like a little raccoon actually, like similar to what we have here in the States. But they can change their shape. they have the power of illusion, things like that. Let me see. They like to gamble. They like to drink a lot of sake, and they're usually really funny creatures. They're very comical. And then finally, there's the kappa, the little green turtle-looking guy, and they're more of sort of like a water type of demon, and they usually live in rivers. They're said to have come from Portuguese monks, like the way they look and dress. Like they have the little bowl haircut. They have shells on their back, and the Portuguese monks, when they came over, had cloaks on that they're also called kappa. They like cucumbers, and they like to eat little children, but they like children, or actually they like cucumbers more than children, so it's probably pretty good. A unique feature they have is on top of their head they have a little indentation with water in it. Now if that water ever falls out of their head, they'll die unless they get water back in it, and that'll come later on too. They're also scared of fire, and they're very they'll keep their promise. They'll honor their promises. So if you make a promise with a kappa, they'll always keep it. They're also very into etiquette. So if they usually, well, they have good etiquette. I'll keep it that. Now what I did is I have 3 stories that represent sort of what I got from the books. These give personality to the creatures. And so I have 3 of them, starting with the kitsune. The first one is about a kitsune, a fox spirit. And what happened was there was a lord in Japan, and he married the kitsune, thinking that it was a beautiful woman. And after he did that, he started getting sick. Night after night, he would get worse and worse. Now, the vassals were wondering, well, what's wrong with him? He's getting really sick. So they stayed up night after night watching him, but the kitsune would put a spell on them, and they'd all start falling asleep. And then when they all fell asleep, she'd suck his spirit out, sort of like a vampire. But she'd be slowly taking his spirit away, or his soul. Then one night, a soldier, I guess, comes over there, and somehow he gets hired by the Lord to find out what's going wrong. And so they all sit around watching the Lord, and then they all start falling asleep. And then the soldier's like, well, what's going on? I'm getting really sleepy, but the only person not falling asleep is his wife sitting next to him. And so what he does, he stabs himself in the leg, and to keep himself awake, which is a bit extreme, but yeah, that's what he does. So he stays awake, and the kitsune is like really upset because like, wow, I can't suck his soul anymore. So the next night he does the same thing, and she gets more upset. And then finally, something else happens, and then he attacks the kitsune because he figures, it's the wife, what's going on. So I think he throws a spear at her or something and nicks her, and she changes back to her original form and runs away. And then he tries to tell the Lord's like, well, that's what's happening. It's like she's taking your soul. And so he orders her to chase after her and kill her. And happy ending. She dies and he gets better. So yeah. Well, they're not all that happy actually, but that's a pretty good one. The tanuki is the next one. So the tanuki story is there's not really any moral to it. It's actually all it is the tanuki. There's a snail on the road, and he wants to go to the next village, and he sees a tanuki running by him on the road, and then he gets a good idea. It's like, well, he calls out to the tanuki. He's like, hey you, I'll race you to the next village. So the tanuki's all surprised. He spins around. He's like, well, a snail. It's like, you want to race me to the next village? And the snail's like, yeah. Are you afraid you're going to lose? If you win, I'll give you my money. But if you lose, then you have to give me your sake, because the tanuki likes to drink, and he always carries a gourd of sake with him. So the tanuki goes, well, sure, you're on. So he spins around and runs off. But when he spins around, what happens is the snail jumps on his tail and rides him all the way to the next village. So at the end of the village, right before the village sign comes, the snail yells at the tanuki. He's like, hey, I won. And the tanuki's so surprised that the snail's there that he spins around looking for him and flings the snail off of off of his tail, smacking him into the village sign, breaking his shell. So the snail falls to the ground. So the tanuki looks around and he sees the snail on the ground without a shell, and he's like, well, what happened? And he's like, well, I got so hot running that I had to take my shell off. Now you have to give me your sake. So that was the tanuki story. So obviously there's no redeeming moral part of that story, but that's essentially what tanuki stories are like. Now the last one's a kappa story. And the kappa story is what happens is well, kappas like cucumbers. They really like cucumbers. So there's a family that lives next to a big river, and they, they have, they're farmers, so they farm, they get their produce, and they take it to the village. But they have to cross the river every day to get to the village to sell their stuff. So something like they have 4 daughters and 1 son, and every day to cross the river, they go and they pick the cucumbers growing next to it. They give it to the kappa, and the kappa lets them pass. And but one day the cucumbers are all gone, and so instead the kappa takes their daughter, like 1 daughter at a time, and they go to the village and sell their produce and come back. So the son's not too happy about that. Well, it's neither the parents, but they can't figure it out or something. So the son's like, well, I'll take care of this. I'll solve your problem. So he goes to the kappa, and the kappa comes up and he's like, well, where's my cucumbers? And then the son bows, and since the kappa is big on etiquette, he has to bow back. So when he bows, the water in his head falls out, and then he's laying on the floor. He's like, oh man, I'm kind of screwed here. And the son's like, well, okay, if I put water back in your head, then you have to let us pass all the time and not try to eat us, and you have to bring me the daughters back. And the kappa, of course, has to agree, otherwise he's going to die. So he puts the water back in his head, and has to keep his promise. So they're safe to go. They get the daughters back, and everything's good. So, but so those are the stories basically of those three creatures. This is the basically the results of the literature review I did. So this is basically another outline of how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to go through the first question, then each of the individual creatures, then the second, third, and fourth. So the first one, the original one. So, what are the origins of these creatures? So in general, the origins of the Japanese creatures, most of them came from another country. Usually, so they had about a couple hundred before was it the 700 AD? I think something about that. So they had a couple hundred creatures that were originally Japanese. Then when Buddhism got introduced into the Japanese culture, they had like several thousand after that, because it all got imported. Now, out of the 3 I chose, the kappa is really the only one that's originally Japanese. The other 2 were imported from like Indonesia or India or China. That's usually the case of their creatures. So starting with the kitsune. The kitsune is it's like a fox spirit, so it looks like a little fox, and they're immortal to a certain point. Like they won't die unless you actually go out and decide to kill it. But if years of age, they become something called a nine-tails fox, and they actually have a unique sort of tie to the farmers in Japan, and I'll go into that later. But they were also they believed in the literature. They believed that they were imported from originally India into China. They were like another version of the Rakshasa, I think, in some Indian culture. I don't really know the exact belief for that, but they're brought from India into China. In China, they were similar to sort of like a tiger figure, and then that tiger was imported into, I think, Korea or Japan, around that route, and then it got turned back into the fox spirit that originally was. But not as apparently the one from India is really evil and malevolent or something like that. It's not a very nice creature. So usually the kitsune is given a bad sort of demeanor, but it's in other books it does say it's either good or bad depending on where it is and who it interacts with. They have like I said, they have the power to change shape. They can cast illusions. Usually look like a beautiful woman, but they can also be male too. But usually they show up as women. Yeah, and they're also known to have some sort of vampiric tendencies. Not really like suck your blood kind of thing, but they'll take your spirit or suck it out of you. So that's the other thing they do. The tanuki, up on the top there actually is a tanuki in Japan, and it was imported from China, so it actually is a real creature. The mythological creature is a little different than the real one, because the real one looks similar to our raccoon. The rings and the tail and everything are there. It's more of a darker brown sort of mottled color to it. This obviously is not not like that. So the mythological one stands on its hind legs, walks around like a person, usually wears a cloak like a Buddhist monk, has those little pointed kind of roundy hats on it, and he's usually seen carrying a gourd full of sake. In his other hands, he's either carrying like an account book or Buddhist manuscripts that he like peddles off to people to pay for his sake. So but that's his thing. He's also they're not really all that smart. They're usually pretty clumsy. They like to play tricks on people, not like mean tricks like kitsune will actually go out and like start killing people, but they just play like really stupid, harmless tricks that usually end up backfiring on them. They also, like I said, they have powerful illusions. They can change shape, but they require a leaf to do it. Like they have these big leaves they put on their head and they turn into something else. And you usually see them like they were in you see them in movies, video games like the Mario 3 or whatever. He's in there. Like Mario turns into a little tanuki and can fly around. The last one is the kappa. So this is the only one that actually is originally from Japan, and it's a little stone statue of a kappa, more of a cartoony one, because they actually they're anywhere from like a child size to a like an adult type size, and they usually have the shell on, and the hair around the head like a ring, and the indentation on their head filled with water. And they said their faces could look anything like some of the older pictures. They kind of look like apes, like more of a human face. Then the newer ones look more like a bird or a turtle kind of face to it. They, like I said, they live in rivers. They're probably the only they're an actual fictional character. There's no real, I guess, real equivalent of them that actually exists in real life. They're afraid of fire. They like children and cucumbers. They're compared to Portuguese monks, like I said before. Yeah, that's about it for the kappa. The second question was, what kind of things are taught in their stories? And for example, the kitsune. So what kind of lessons can you learn from these sort of mythological stories? And the lesson for the kitsune was they usually can represent sly or evil people that are trying to take advantage of you. So sort of like a lesson is like, don't, be wary of strangers, and don't just take things at first glance, and try to try to make sure you know everything before you get into whatever you're doing. The tanuki, like I said, didn't really have any like morals or anything to their stories. It's just entertainment. It's funny. It's they just usually clumsy stories in there that are fun to watch or listen to. The kappa, there was one thing that everyone kept on repeating with the kappa is that they were saying that it teaches younger kids to bow, because if a little kid's near a river, the adults say, well, don't go there. There's a kappa that lives near the river. You might get hurt, so stay away from it, because it's dangerous for kids to be near rivers. And also, if they meet up with a kappa, they teach them, well, if you bow to a kappa, well, he'll bow back, and the water fall off his head, and he can run away. So that's usually what they tell their kids. So that's one thing that they kept on repeating over and over in a lot of the literature I read. The third one, how does Japanese contemporary society perceive them? And well, the kitsune is one of the creatures they still believe in. I believe they actually believe they exist. There's a thing called like a game called Kokuri-san. It's sort of like our Ouija board. It's kind of like that, and it's the kitsune takes over your spirit, and you kind of answer the questions and yes or no thing. So it's very similar to Ouija board, but that's apparently still played. Oh geez. Well, yeah, a lot of people still believe in them. The tanuki, not so much. Some people still believe in the tanuki, because they actually do exist. You can see them walking around Japan. They're real creatures. And there's a lot of stories. A lot of older people have stories about them. Like there was a train track was supposed to be built near some lady's house, and at night they heard the tanuki. They thought they heard tanuki making train noises, running around outside. And then the next couple of days they kept on hearing it. Then one day they came up and they looked around. They saw like a bunch of tanukis in a line, kind of dead, fallen over. And the lady thought that maybe they're out, playing choo-choo train or something, and they got hit by a car and they all died. But that was actually one of the stories they had for it. So some people actually do believe the tanuki does exist, but not more so than the kitsune. The kappa, no one, I don't think anyone really actually truly believes those exist. Maybe like a long time ago they did, but nowadays I don't think it's it's really something that they truly actually walks around and can eat children and such. But yeah, so that's the kappa. Now the last research focused question was, in what way does this perception affect their everyday lives? Now the kitsune, like I said, there's a tie to like farmers and people who produce like food and stuff, and there's a big tie between them and the kitsune, and I'll go into that a little later. But there's a strong tie that keeps them together. The people don't so much believe in the kappa, like I said, because there's no real evidence or anything like that they have. The kitsune and the tanuki, though, like I said, they see them, they have shrines for them and everything. Let me see. They also have idioms and proverbs that they use. Like whenever they say "michi ni mayote," means I'm lost on a road. Usually it's the fault of a kitsune or a tanuki that did that to you. So whenever you're lost on a road, that's your excuse. It's like, well, tanuki did it, or kitsune made me lose my way. Let me see. Also, during, if you remember a while back, there was the terrorist group that had, what was it? They bombed like a subway with gas, and they killed a lot of people. Now during that time, it was in the newspapers, but a lot of the members said that they had been possessed by kitsune, and that's what made them do it. So that's also in part of their contemporary society. The reasonings behind that. So, and that's for the research questions, basically. Oh, no way. I got this real fast, sorry. The Oinari is the one I was referring to that kitsune have a big tie to. Oinari is a god of rice, basically, but he can appear as a man or a woman. This shrine is a little shrine. It's not very big at all. It's actually quite short. And there's two kitsune on either side of the gate, the tori. And so the god of Oinari usually is represented with these two kitsune, and their favorite food is aburage, or fried tofu, and you offer it to them, to the shrine. And what they do is they give you a good harvest. So usually families that live in those farm-producing areas and stuff, they usually have this in their home. And they of course, give offerings to the shrine. And that's the tie they have, that they actually believe that this will do something for them. This is the actual survey. I don't think I can do this really fast, but I sent out surveys to about 9 different people, ages 20 to 29, and this is an example of the survey. Yes. Eventually it'll come up. And it was sent out to 9, and they're all Japanese people, so I didn't survey any Americans. So this is their responses. So I asked them are you Japanese, yes or no? It's kind of pointless, but their age, if you live in Japan, for how long, because some people, they grow up there, but they leave. So I wanted to know how long they've been in there and what their influence was from it. So I asked them, do you believe the Japanese are superstitious, and do you know what a kitsune, a tanuki, and a kappa is, and what do you think they are? And I got all sorts of really strange answers from them, which was really nice. So, because I got it from all different sorts of people all over Japan, not just in like one area like Tokyo. I got it from like people from Kyushu and stuff, which is really neat. And then it goes on to like, do you believe they exist, and things like that. So I'll actually go over this survey right now, actually. So the first one is, do you believe that the Japanese are superstitious? And out of the 9 of them, 8 of them said that yes, they thought the Japanese were superstitious. One of them just flat out said no, they're not. And the second one was in Japan. This was about the description. What do you think a tanuki, kitsune, and a kappa are? So this was different from the actual literature. This is from people from Japan. Answer my question. What do you think they are? And a lot of them with the kitsune, they basically said things like, they're shape-changing, creatures, and they do illusions. They're sometimes good or bad. And the tanuki was a very similar one. The kappa was the one that they had some really like off-the-wall answers that stretched back and forth. But they basically answer like things like they live in the river, they eat children and cucumbers, things like that. And this was, okay. So I asked them basically, do you believe in the creatures? So this one off to the right here, or left, that's the kitsune. So 4 of them said yes. So the blue's yes, the red's no. 4 of them said yeah, they believe in kitsune. 5, I don't know, or not sure, or just flat out no. The tanuki was the same, basically 4 out of 5. The kappa, Three of them, two of them actually said yes. The third guy said no, but my mom does. And the sixth one was no. We don't believe him. So most of them really don't believe in the kappa. This one was if you don't believe in the kappa, do you believe they exist in some other sense, like not really exist, but do you believe they're like metaphysically exist, or we make them exist? You know. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So they said, well, you can see for yourself. More questions. Yeah. Well, I'll actually give you the results. Oh, there you go. Basically, overall the research and everything all added up. Generally, the Japanese are a superstitious group. It reflects a lot of in the culture, the books, the cartoons, the movies. So a lot of that has a lot of superstitious things in it, like how they eat, what they do in everyday life. The creatures, they do have sort of a link to how they do their things in everyday life, like how they pray to these creatures. They like some of the kitsune, like I said. So that's done. Shoot. Okay, I'm done. That's it. Yeah. Sorry. That's not a lot of time.
It's amazing when you get a classification, how you can just sort of be absorbed by it. Thank you, Larry. It was very, very
Oh, thanks. I wish I had more time though.
One short question.
Yeah, sure.
Do you believe in them?
Me? Man, I'd like to believe in the kitsune. That'd be kind of cool. But,
Are these kind of figurines something that would be kept in a Japanese household?
well, for the kitsune, they actually have a shrine that they actually give things to. The tanuki, usually you see them out in front of like bars and pubs to like tell people it's like, hey, you can drink here, kind of thing. So you see those a lot in front of those kind of restaurants and things. The kappa, I've only seen like statues of them, kind of like in amusement parks and junk. Not really. You don't really see them, like statues of them everywhere.
And do they have any creature, for women, because I understand this, for the children, don't get to the water and everything is a lot of this.
Oh, yeah.
For the women, don't go during the night or something like that.
Oh. No, they have warnings out on the buildings. Don't walk around. Don't do this. It's bad. Like go home. They have things like that. So.
Expecting them.
Yeah, not really creatures, but yeah.
Okay, because in Latin America, the Caribbean, they have for the children, but they have also for the women.
Well, they probably need some in Japan, so. Yeah, Tom?
I was just wondering, what movie did this?
The movie that appeared was Poko. So that's a tanuki. It was a tanuki movie. It's actually pretty interesting, and it goes into a lot of things, and actually has a moral in the end of it. So it's kind of a neat story. So if you guys ever have a chance to watch that, it's pretty good to see. You do see them in a lot of cartoons, a lot of comic books for kids. They have a lot of these things in it too. A lot of mythological creatures and such. Any more questions, or all done? Yes. All right. Cool. Hey.